Hey guys, this is Kanya Rana and welcome to day 2 of International Affairs related questions for your Prelims 2021. This is Streak Initiative. Use these videos as a break in between your prelims preparation so that you can revise some of the topics that were there in your current affairs for the prelims that is coming up in October. Now, before we move on to the first question, do register for a Streak program. The links have been provided in the description box. You can access all the free material related UPSC from that post that registration. So now let's move on to the first question of the day. Now this is related to United Nations Security Council. Now this particular topic has been in news for a lot of time, and I think it's again a reoccurring kind of a topic, and you should be pretty much aware about this body in detail, because this body both from mains point of view and prelims point of view is important. So here we have two statements with respect to your United Nations Security Council. The first is that Asia Pacific region group holds 3 non-permanent seats and African region holds 2 non-permanent seats. Now, you are aware about that certain countries have permanent seats in United Nations Security Council, and then there are other 15 members who have non-permanent seats. So, the countries for those non-permanent seats are actually chosen on a rotation basis. Like if a country from Asia Pacific, the countries keep on rotating, but the number of seats that has been assigned to that particular region remains the same. So that is the idea here. We have permanent members of UNSC. You all are pretty much aware about them. They are US, UK, and France, and Russia, and China, and they all have veto powers with respect to any decision that has taken place in this particular body, right? So here we are not concerned about these permanent members. We are talking about how the elections with respect to non-permanent members happens, and right now India is a member of UNSC from that non-permanent seat. So again, this topic. So second statement here is that the president of UNSC is a post which is held upon a monthly rotation basis. Now that is also another important trivia point related to UNSC, like who holds the presidential position of UNSC. Is it always the permanent member, or is it even the non-permanent members can have that kind of right in the UNSC, and what is the duration for that particular presidency? Now the answer, you can pause the video, think for some time, and then answer also. Then check the answer. So the answer for this particular question is B. The first statement here is wrong. So it's more of a kind of factual question here, but make sure you do remember that in UNSC we have 3 seats that has been given to the African group region, right? We have Latin America, Caribbean, Asia Pacific, Western Europe, and any other groups that have been given 2 member seats, right? And East Asian European group, they have been given 1 member seat, right? So this is the major distribution with respect to seats in the UNSC. So we have 10 non-permanent seats and we have 5 permanent members. So total we have 15 members here, right? So the countries were elected for these non-permanent seats. They hold the position for a term of 2 years. And again, the second statement here is completely right. The term for which the presidency of the council is held is for on a monthly basis, and it is actually rotated amongst each of the member in turn. In every turn, like all the 15 members which are elected right now, the presidency would rotate between them, and they usually follow the English alphabetical order for those countries to be selected for this particular position, right? So the answer here is B. Again, UNSC is like, if you look from mains point of view, the reforms with respect to UNSC is one very important question when we talk about India's role in UNSC. So yeah, that is why this portion is important. So let's do the second question here, which deals with two indexes, which is IHDI and Gender Development Index. Now, index related questions are very important. Even if you go through your previous year questions, you can find many questions from many indexes. Like, we've had questions that have been asked from Global Hunger Index. You have HDI that has been asked a lot of time, global gender gap. So all these index related questions are very important. Make sure you know what these indexes are about, what are they measuring, which particular body is the one who's responsible for managing that particular index and printing it out, and also what are the basic things that particular index is made out of. So these are important things to look after. So the first statement here is about IHDI, which is Inequality Adjusted Human Development Index. And the second index we're going to talk about is Gender Development Index. So the first statement here is IHDI indicates the percentage loss in HDI due to inequality. And the second statement is that Gender Development Index is the measurement of gender inequality using dimensions like reproductive health, empowerment, participation in labor market. Now, the answer for this particular question is A. Only the first statement is right. So, yes, IHDI is an index which actually measures, it is a measurement of percentage. Like, if you have inequality in your country, then how much of HDI are you losing out upon? That is what the idea is behind this particular index. Right? So India's position, if you talk about in 2019, that was 129. It did improve from 2018 a bit, but again, due to inequality, especially if we talk about even gender equality, there are other social inequality as well, which is taken into account here. So due to all these inequalities, India does faces a lot of loss in its Human Development Index. All right. So again, Human Development Index this year is important from one more idea, that they have brought in a new idea or related to environment related. All right. So environment related pressure that has been created by each country, that is also a new dimension that was added in this time's HDI. So HDI this time becomes a very important topic. Make sure you go and revise that topic nicely. Get the idea what this new dimension has been added and what is it all about. All right. So second statement is wrong here. The Gender Development Index. See, the things that have been given here, the reproductive health, the empowerment, and the participation in labor market. Now, all these actually are represented by another index, which is Gender Inequality Index. All right. So that is the composite measure of gender inequality, and that particular index measures your reproductive health, empowerment, and the labor market representation. When we're talking about Gender Development Index, that works simultaneously to what HDI works. So that the participating criterias are almost similar. It's just that it's measured in terms of male-female kind of a thing. All right. So the answer for this particular question is A. Now let us move on to the next question. It's about G20 and G7. Now again, a very important topic. Even in last year's prelims, we had a question to identify countries who are part of your G20. So again, the membership, the summits, the year it was formed, all this becomes very important. So the first question here is that the first summit of G20 was held in 2008 in Russia. And the second statement here is that G7 consists of the countries which are as follows: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, South Korea, UK, and US. So you have to identify which is the incorrect statement here. The answer for this particular question is C. Both the statements are wrong here. The first summit of G20 was held in USA, not Russia. So again, that is a factual thing. You will have to go and revise these kind of things like on 2 or 3 times. Only then you'll be able to recall them. So it's important. Like even in one of the previous year questions, they had asked a question on the first summit of BRICS, right? So these kind of questions they do ask. So make sure you do revise them. And the second statement is also wrong. The country for Asia is not South Korea, it's Japan. Now again, make sure that you take note of the countries which might seem which might not seem agreeing to the group. Like in G7, make note of countries like Italy, Japan, because if a country say like USA and UK are there in the option, then you can make a genuine guess that okay, they'll be part of G7. Again, in case of like G20 question, there were countries like Singapore, and that is what confused a lot of students, right? So again, make sure the countries which you think can be a bit out of the league, make note of those countries, even in G20 countries when you're talking about, right? So the answer for this is C. Both the statements were wrong, and we did correct them. Next, we move on to the question which is relating to a grouping, Mercosur. Now, again, a lot of groupings we've been discussing up till now. We discussed we discussed SAARC yesterday. We also discussed BIMSET. Similarly, there are a lot of different groupings, and even in your previous year question papers, many groupings have been asked. Like there have been a question on your Gulf Council, Gulf Cooperation Council. There have been question on SAARC. There have been question on BIMSAT, Mekong Ganga Corporation. So a lot of these groupings have been part of your UPSC question papers. So again, they are important. So here we're talking about Mercosur, and they've been given 4 countries, and you have to identify which countries are actually part of this particular grouping: Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Venezuela. Now, Mercosur is a South American common market kind of a trade bloc that was actually established in 1991, and the members for this particular body is Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay. Venezuela did become a full member, but it was suspended. Its membership has been suspended since 1st December 2016. So that was because of the crisis that has been going on in that particular country, and it was there in news. So the answer for this particular question is A. Right now, only these 3 countries are members of Mercosur, right? And now let's move on to the last question of the day, which is based on IAEA, that is International Atomic Energy Agency. So this body is important. It has won a Nobel Prize also, and it has been asked a couple of times in your previous year papers also. So this body is important. There are 2 statements that have been given with respect to this particular body. You have to identify the correct option. The first statement is that IAEA is an international organization that seeks to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy and to inhibit its use for any military purpose. And the second statement here is that North Korea and Iran have withdrawn their membership from IAEA. Now, the answer for this particular question is A. The first statement is very much right. It is an international organization that is related to peaceful use of nuclear energy, and they do try to inhibit the use of this particular energy for any military weapons, right? So that is a basic aim of this particular body. It was established back in 1957. It actually was established, independent of United Nations, but it has been working with that particular body and United Nations Security Council since then, right? The second statement is with respect to the membership of this particular body. It says here that North Korea and Iran have withdrawn their membership. Now, I think even if you've been in connection with the recent current affairs, you would know that Iran has not withdrawn from this particular body. In fact, when this the joint agreement between the P5+1 was signed, this particular body was to work with Iran to make sure that its nuclear energy related regulations are followed. So even right now, Iran is very much the member of this particular body. It has not withdrawn from any of its if any of its membership. North Korea, on the other hand, was the member of this particular body from 74 to 94, but later it did withdraw. So second statement is wrong here. First statement is right. Again, make sure you go through which all bodies are part of this particular body. Like, go through the membership. Like, South Sudan is not a member of this particular body right now. Then there are some other countries also, right? Small countries. You can look into those particular countries, right? So that's it, guys. This was this was your IR questions for today. Hope you had some good time revising some of the topics. All the best for prelims. Keep on studying, and all the best.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civilsdaily.